Okay, so last week we explored the width, of all the horizontal spaces in the hands through all the joints in the hand and the forearm. And this week we're going to explore the width and depth of the hand and the wrist and the elbow and the shoulder and the torso. So width of the hands and the depth of the torso, depth of the side. And we're going to look at the grip. It's a really interesting thing that our hands form an arch, and it's this opposable finger and thumb that we've spent so long developing that creates this arch through the hand, and that really enables us to, when we hold things, to connect with the, in a way, it's a microcosm of the front and the back of the body, or the rest of the body, through the hand in the way we actually hold things. And then, how does that influence the way we touch? Because the fingertips, it's probably, arguably the most sensitive piece of skin in the entire animal world. It's so sensitive, the range of things we can feel, the range of temperatures and pressures and, the delicacy of things we can feel due to all the little ridges on the fingertips and the number of sensory, the sensory devices we have inside the skin in there. Is amazing. But, we don't just touch with the fingertips. When we hold something, we move our hands. It's through holding things, it's through touch, really, I think, that we understand things in reference to us. And so when we're touching something, it's not just with the fingers or the fingertips, it's really with the whole hand and arm. Because, it's also the visuals. Actually, I'll read you a quote from a guy named Frank Wilson. He's a hand surgeon, and he wrote a fabulous book called The Hand. And all physical skills flow from the maturation of motor skills under the guidance of both visual and kinesthetic monitoring. So there's two sort of things in progress here. We've got the visual system. We have to see what we're going to be manipulating. And then through the kinesthetic system, the sense of where our body is in space, we learn to manipulate it. It's a really interesting thing. It's so influential. When it's an expression of the way we move out into the world. We move out, I'll take our first steps into the world with our hands rather than our feet. Because, if you put something in front of a baby's face after about 2 weeks, when its eyes have learnt to focus, it can grasp it in its hand. Whereas it takes, 6 months until we're crawling, usually around that time, and a year till we're walking on our feet. So it takes much longer. So we're developing this, the sense of the hands and where we are and what the world is happening well before the legs are big enough to be able to support our body weight. And yeah, it takes, there's different stages. We have to be able to see something. Then we have to be able to learn to move our arm out into the, the position where we're looking. And then the second phase, we have to learn to orient our hand, so we could actually grasp it, and then, work out how we actually grasp something. And it takes about 5 months to do that, to learn to get your hand into the, the right position where you're looking. And then about another 5 months until you learn to actually grasp things. And then you consider when the finer motor skills, when we're learning to write, that's not till we're about 5 or 7, or till we get older, that we develop that delicacy of and the sensitivity of the control through the hands. So it takes a lot of time, and it's through practice that we develop things, that we develop these skills. And whether it's playing the guitar, or it's the ability to finally peel vegetables, or whatever we're doing, it takes there's this long process. So all the lessons that we're doing in this term, in this series of classes, they're all things that can be practiced, and they'll have it'll improve the way you do anything, really. But if you apply it in particular to the things that you do and that you care about, say if you play a musical instrument, or do some form of art or thing that uses your hands, if you actually explore the movements we're doing here in relation to that skill, it will probably make a big difference. This ability, well, two main types of grips. There's a power grip where we brace things against the palm using the fingers, and in particular the thumb. And then there's a precision grip where we move the fingers, and the thumbs together. And the thumb it has 10 muscles. The thumb has a lot of them in the palm, but it has 3 big ones in the extensors in the forearm, and one, well, arguably 2 really, muscles in the forearm for flexion. The other fingers, the first finger and the little finger, they have their own independent muscles, but mostly these fingers here, they tend to, they move as a block, and it's the thumb moving with them that creates all this sensitivity and enables us to do all the things that we do. Let's look at some pictures of the thumb, because it is rather amazing. So the first thing, or probably the key thing in today's lesson, is that the width of the hand is an expression of the depth of the body. So shoulder blade behind, collarbone in front. That, whoops. That line through here, this, the rib cage sitting underneath here. The width of the hand and the width of the elbow, the ability to rotate all of these segments here enables us to connect the whole hand through to the rest of the whole torso. And well, this I've highlighted here, the the muscles that connect with the thumb. This is this flexor here, and notice the tendon goes right down into the end of the thumb here. I've included this one. It's not really a thumb muscle, but it attaches to the tendon that surrounds the wrist here. This one here, and it pulls on these 2 little bones at either side of the wrist. So that's also involved in, and also some of the thumb muscles connect into it. So, everything works together. Nothing's really separate. But, you can see the, on the back here, the 3 muscles connecting to the thumb, the extensors. Now notice this one here, this is an abductor. This is one that actually pulls the thumb forward, so it goes that way. Whoops. And notice it's on the inside border of the first phalange here of the thumb. And then we look at this one here. This is an extensor, so this is pulling the thumb out that way, away from the other fingers. Connects up here onto the radius, and also onto the bit of tendon in between the 2 bones here in the forearm. But that connects here onto the first digit. So this is, remember, this is where the palm is, across here. So this one's connecting at the top of the palm for the thumb, and that's a extensor pollicis brevis and extensor pollicis longus. That goes right to the end of the finger here, the right to end of the thumb. Extends further up here and onto the ulna, the bone that becomes the elbow. And down here in the hand, there's all these, other muscles through here that form a large part of the palm here. And these deep ones here, the interosseous muscle here, and these more superficial ones here. The adductors that pulls the thumb across here. This one also, it connects into the whole length of this middle digit here in the middle, and also has another little bit down the other side that connects onto the first finger as well. And actually there's a so we have this because the thumb has such an important role in being able to rotate and join with the other fingertips. It enables us to do so many skills. Let's look at some of these actions here. There are muscles also within the palm and also in the forearm that connect with the little finger and the first finger as well, that enable us to move it there. But the flexion movements often involve muscles in the hands. Yeah, whereas the extensor movements extension, they're using muscles in the forearm. That's a really interesting thing. We have a very heavy cast iron saucepan with one handle, and I'm trying to carry it when it's loaded with food, and it's hard, and I'm getting fatigued because I'm using these muscles in my forearm here to hold it. And I realized that if I actually rotated the palm over, and carried it that way rather than with the thumb on top, that I was actually able to use the muscles in the upper arm, the biceps, and that made it much easier to carry. And that's really what we're on about in this series, is that we tend to use these muscles in the forearm and the hand very inefficiently. And it's a little bit complicated because we are using the flexors and the extensors at the same time. And here we are, some flexion here. You can see how these two muscles can, also contribute to this movement of the thumb. If you're just moving the thumb, you can do it just from here. But if you're doing when you're also pulling the arm across the front of your body, then you're going to, or rotating the palm, you're also going to use these muscles in the forearm as well. Let's look at the muscles in the hand here. Flexion, yes. So this is not the thumb, but here, notice these muscles, these four fingers here, it's the one muscle here. There's a deep version of this as well. And the tendons notice it goes to either side here of the finger, and there's a deeper one that goes right to the tips of the fingers. But it's the four fingers together. Now you also have extra muscles in the forearm that connect with the first finger and the little finger, which give you that ability to actually rotate. But notice the direction that they move. It's basically straight up and down. You can, by flexing these muscles here, the interosseous muscles in the palm, you can pull the fingers to either side. You can abduct them. In fact, I think I have a picture of that. But let's actually just look at, whoops. No, that's what I want. Yeah. Notice how as they shorten, you've got these lumbricals here, and on the back, I'm not sure if they've got it here, the interosseous muscles. These muscles here, they're pulling everything together. They're joining up here in the fingers when they contract, whereas the ones on the front here, they pull it apart. And as with everything, it's these 8 bones here in the wrist. It's the way they can adjusting these bones, which means that you can focus the effort through various fingers or combinations of fingers through making these adjustments in the bones of the wrist. 4. Extension. Same thing with these fingers here. You know, it's one muscle connected on the outside of the arm that moves these 4 fingers. And this goes right up to the end of the muscle, but notice how the tendon splits in 2 here. And then you have this other one here, this one of these little muscles that just goes just to the little finger, which gives you this extra ability to manipulate it, to change its direction or move its shape. Because it's the amazing range of ways that we can move here that makes such a difference. No, it's not one for the first finger, is there? No. Okay, that will do. Now, could you take your pen and paper for a moment? There we are. Take your pen and paper and just consider how you hold your pen. And what we were thinking about last week, the width of the hand. And look at the page. You know, as you consider the number of joints you have between your eyes and your hand here and the page. You know, it's so important having the ability to, you know, we have to be able to keep our head still. We'll explore that one of the classes we do, you know, because we have to be able to keep our head still so that we can see where we're going. And then, you know, all the joints here to be able to move our hand down to the page. Now, can you move your hand down to the page and place the pencil on the page and just let it rest there and allow your hand to relax? Just feel the width of the hand, the weight of your hand and arm, and the feeling of the pencil on the paper. And now move the pencil, but do it by moving your shoulder. So allow your arm to be just soft. You know, use the minimal amount of effort that you need in order to hold it, and just by moving your shoulder. Pulling it back or moving it forward. You know, sense how the pen can drag across the page. The feeling of the way the ink or the graphite of the pencil rolls onto the page. And move now the torso, allow your whole torso to move. So your arm is passive, but you're moving your torso and your shoulder in order to move the pencil around the page. Lovely. Now leave that for a moment, rest, and look at what you've done. You know, the quality of the lines. Now place the pen, the implement down there again, and look at it once more. This time, could you do the same thing, moving your torso and your shoulder, but make light lines and heavy lines. So vary what you're doing with your breath, and just, you know, as your thought or your feeling changes, make the movement lighter or heavier. And do that in a rhythmic kind of way. Move, you know, a light line, then a heavy line, then a light line, then a medium line. Just vary the amount of pressure that you have here. But once again, you're letting your hand be passive. It's the arm. This is more what a painter does when they're, you know, using a brush, often at arm's length. So you can look at your arm as you're doing this. Look at the sense, but letting the torso and the shoulder and the arm move. But the thing is to notice as you're doing that, and you know, it's your torso and your shoulder that's moving, there's nevertheless these movements in the wrist. You know, all the fingers have to adjust or make accommodations. And now you could allow your hand and the fingers to move as well. So the shoulder, the arm, and the fingers and hand. And so you're thinking inside. It's the whole side that's drawing this line. Perhaps an expression of what you're feeling and thinking in this moment. And can you shade one area? If there's a little circle or something, shade one area. You know, feel, color it in. And is it possible to still have this sense of the shoulder and the whole torso able to participate in this? Do one other area. And notice the feeling in the fingertips as you hold the pen. You know, the feeling of the pen on the paper. And that sensitivity can still be including the or input from the whole inside of your body. Okay, look at what you've done now. And now write 3 words that are an expression of how it feels to have this, to the feeling of the pencil in your hand, the sensitivity in the fingertips, right through into the inside of your body. 3 words. Lovely. Yeah, notice the quality of your writing now. So the homework for this week is going to be to consider this connection between the sensitivity of the fingertips and the arm, but to describe what you do. That was the first article I wrote, actually, was for the Nurses Journal, The Lamp. I'd been an Alexander teacher for about 18 months and had been struggling, after just finishing the training and realizing I knew nothing, to, and then working with it and, eventually, able to, to make more of a difference. Actually, you can make a difference straight away, but, I just started to have an idea of what I was doing. And what I did was I described my process, what I actually did. It was a really interesting thing. So I wasn't just describing what other people had said about what the work was or what it can offer. I was just describing my own process. So if you felt like it, you could choose something that you do, that you are interested in, that you think about, and just describe what you do with this sense of the fingertips, the sensitivity of the fingertips, sensitivity of the pen on the paper, and the feeling, how everything adjusts through all the joints in the wrist and the fingers and the hand, the arms, into the torso. Yeah, but for now, let's explore this. Let's explore this connection of the fingertips. So could you lie down on your backs? Okay. Yes. So lie here on your back with your arms comfortably by your side, and notice how you settle. The feeling of your breath. And the way you're lying on the floor. If you feel flat, or if you feel like you're rolled over to one side, or, the differences to each side of your body. And consider your hands, the way your hands are lying on the floor. Whether there's more pressure on one side of the hand. Have your palms up or, not palm down, but somewhere comfortable that where the palms are facing in the direction of the ceiling or your torso. And notice how your fingers are organized, whether they're extended or curled. And if there are differences in each finger, and the feeling in the hand and the wrist and forearm. Do some sensations stand out? It could be a sense of effort or muscular work in the back of the hand or the outside of the forearm. It could be the inside. And with your breath now, could you just extend and then relax and then curl your fingers very, very slowly so that you could observe how they move just within the easy range. So very slow movement and only as far as is comfortable. So you may find that you can't extend your fingers out flat without effort in the forearm. So don't do that effort. Just only move the fingers where they can go comfortably, and so that you could observe, what movements come easily to you. And any differences between say, the thumb and first two fingers and the little two fingers. Well, notice that as your fingers are curling, they don't naturally go to the thumb. To move, say, the first finger, well, could you move the first finger? Just flex the first finger and extend it. It probably bypasses the thumb, doesn't it? Moves toward the back of the palm. So we have to move the thumb over. Leave the finger. Now, can you move the thumb over a little bit so it's in a position where if you bent the first finger that it would touch the thumb? And then move it over to the position where if you bent the middle finger, it would touch the thumb. And then the fourth finger, and then the little finger. Notice the way the thumb, it moves at a right angle to the other fingers. It moves across the palm when it flexes toward the little finger, and away from the palm, away from the first finger when it's extending. Just move the thumb backwards and forwards like that and feel the muscles in the palm as you flex it, and the muscles in the forearm as you extend it out. And then there's another movement we can do with the thumb. They call it abducting. And that's where you move the thumb away from the first finger. So not toward the little finger, but away from the first finger, over toward the opposite shoulder if your palms are facing up toward the ceiling. And move your thumbs in a little circle. And notice how smoothly you do that. And the feeling through the hand and the forearm. Now leave that. Sense the width and depth of the palms and the wrist. And the fingers. And now, could you move the thumb and the first finger toward each other and touch? Touch the thumb and first finger together a few times and just notice how the thumb moves over and how the finger bends, and see, can you allow the other fingers to be soft? Just hold it there, holding the thumb and first finger together. Is that easy, or, do you feel your hands shaking a little bit? Well, feel with the pads of the thumb and first finger, feel each of them. Move your first finger right around the thumb to sense the nail and the flesh around it, the skin. The tendons on the back of the thumb, the front. And then use the thumb to feel the first finger, to listen. And notice that the sensory impressions that you have, the feelings about your fingers and thumbs, you're feeling them inside your body and through the whole arm. Well, once again, just leave the first finger and thumb connected. And move the first finger and thumb in a circle. It's as if you were holding a pencil, between the tip of these two fingers, and you could move it around to draw a circle on the ground. Notice what happens through the rest of your hand and your forearm to do this. And leave that. Rest there and just notice the sense of how your arm and those two fingers feel. Consider your visual field. With your eyes closed, sense the extent of the visual field out into infinity with your eyes closed. And how your body is oriented within that visual field. And in particular now, this first finger and thumb. And the influence moving them has had on the whole arm and side. Now move the thumb and the second finger, the middle finger, toward each other and apart. Remember, there's that muscle that attaches from the thumb to the metacarpal bone. That's the bone of the middle finger in the palm. And hold your fingers here and just notice and just stay there and just sense how the rest of the hand is and forearm are feeling. So this is the middle finger, the middle of the hand. Feel it. Move the thumb and the first finger over each other to sense each other. And notice how to tune into the sensory impressions that you're receiving through the thumb and the finger. You sense that through the whole arm and the whole of your body. And now keep your fingers there again. And now move this finger and thumb in a circle. So you're bending the middle finger and the thumb in order to do this. And you're probably rotating the forearm as well. And, notice the feelings through the whole arm and shoulder. Leave that for a moment, just rest there. If the fingers are at rest, the thumb can't reach them because it's shorter, isn't it? So in order for the thumbs to reach toward the fingers, you actually have to lift the wrist. Do that now. Could you move the thumb toward the first finger? It means the wrist lifts a little bit, which means the wrist extends using the extensor muscles at the back of the forearm. Keep doing that, moving the thumb toward the first finger. And of course, it's not just the wrist extending, is it? It's, the shoulder lifts a little bit. So you could probably feel that in the collarbone and the shoulder blade, the front and the back of the shoulder. You move the thumb now down toward the middle finger. The little finger remains passive. It's the thumb that's moving, which means you're moving the wrist and the shoulder to get there. And there's something else that's interesting that's happening here as you're moving your thumb toward your middle finger. And that's the sense of the arch in the hand. So the middle finger is the center of the arch. Consider from the middle finger in the center of the palm out to the thumb, and from the middle finger out, from the center of the palm out to the little finger. That arch in the palm that's also being created by the position of the thumb it mirrors the other arches in your body. The shape of your rib cage. Or the shape of the back of your head. Or the shape of your pelvis. Now leave that. Rest here. Noticing the arch in the palm. The curl of your fingers. The roundness of your forearm. And its width. The curve of your shoulder and the arch of your underarm. And now could you reach your thumb toward the fourth finger, the ring finger, and consider as you do that the shape that's enclosed within the fourth finger and the thumb when you join them. That round shape. And now extend the thumb toward the little finger. How the shoulder blade and collarbone move, the front and the back of your shoulder girdle. And the front and the back of this circle between the little finger and the thumb. A microcosm of the front and back of the whole body. Now, leave that for a moment. Just rest there. Go back to that other, we're going to move our thumb and the fourth finger toward each other and apart, moving both the thumb and the finger, allowing the other fingers to be relaxed. And now keep the thumb and the ring finger together, and now move the thumb and the finger in a circle here as if they're holding a pencil. And notice what you feel now. The arch in the hand and what is happening through the whole forearm, the whole shoulder. The feeling within the rib cage and within your head. And now move the thumb, feel the thumb and the ring finger with each other. Move the thumb over the ring finger and vice versa to feel the shape of the bone and the pad, skin. And then leave that. See, what's the sensation you have now in that finger compared to the other ones where we hadn't, explored that movement of the whole arm and torso? Well, move the thumb across to the little finger now and the little finger toward the thumb. And just explore the circle that you create in the finger here. Between the finger and thumb. And what happens in the rest of the hand? Can you allow the rest of the hand to be relaxed? And feel the thumb and the little finger with each other. Move the little finger over the thumb, or vice versa, so that you could feel the bones and the skin. And then hold them in still there, the little finger and the thumbs, letting everything else relax through your arms and hands. And now move them in a circle, as if you're drawing on the ground. And you can allow everything to move to make that easy. But, see if you can allow the rest of the hand and the forearm to be relaxed. You notice what you're doing with your eyes now. Where are you looking? Spread your visual attention with your eyes closed to include the entire peripheral visual field. And, including the little fingers and thumbs, doing this circling movement. Because when we achieve a high degree of skill with something, we don't need to look at it. Musicians, once they learn, when they're first learning, they have to look at what they're doing. They have to learn to see where their hand is going and how it's positioned. But after a while, you can get a visual memory of where your hand will be moving. So sense that now. Allow yourself to look forward and just moving the little finger and thumb in this circle. So everything can relax. Now leave that rest there. What's the feeling through the little two fingers and the wrist into the arm and torso? Well, sense your visual field again, the peripheral visual field, and how your body is oriented within it. And now imagine your arms going out to shoulder height. And now put your hands out at shoulder height, palms up. And move the thumb and first finger toward each other to touch. And just leave them there. And in this orientation, notice what's happening through the rest of your arm and hand. Allow everything else to be soft. And being aware of your peripheral visual field, move your thumb and first fingers in a circle, as if you were holding a pen or a key or a string or something that you are pulling. Slowly move them in a circle. You know, you can rotate the forearm to do that. And feel, you know, as you rotate the forearm, as your thumb and first finger move forward and then back and then around, as they extend and then as they bend. The arch in your hand, you know, how your hand rolls, and that feeling in the palm. You know, the arch in your underarms. Move the crown of your head. Or your pelvic floor. Or your diaphragm. And, you know, we're touching the fingers, finger and thumb together, and moving it. You know, as if you're moving something, you could be touching something, but you'd be sensing that, not just with the fingertips, but through the whole hand, forearm and the upper arm, the shoulders, and within the torso. Leave that, just rest there for a moment. Now bring the thumb and the middle finger together, the middle of the palm. Just stay there, sense the arch in the hand, the wrist. And move this pair of fingers in a circle, the thumb and the middle finger here. You can allow your wrist to roll, so, you know, as you move the hand or the pen away down toward the feet, the wrist and forearm can roll. Sensing what is happening to the rest of your hand, allowing the other fingers to be soft. And that everything can move, so that everything can listen to the quality of touch. And maybe you could imagine that you were drawing something over the eyes or around the eyes. You're drawing some sort of a magic cloth that would peel away veils from the eyes, soften and relax each eyeball. So the delicacy of the movement with the hand and the arm enables you to soften not just through the whole of each side, but through your eyes. Or anywhere else in your face or head or neck. And leave that. Have your thumb and fourth finger together now. Notice is that getting a bit easier to stay there. Can the other fingers be a bit more relaxed now? We'll move this set of fingers in a circle, as if you're holding a pen, drawing a circle on the floor, allowing your wrist and your forearm to roll, allowing the other fingers to be heavy and relaxed. So that you could listen to the quality of this touch through the whole of your body. And to think of the thumb, perhaps related to the collarbones and the whole front of your body. And the other fingers related to the back of your body. And if there was somewhere else in your body that could do with polishing from this magic cloth that you're holding between the fingertips here, move it through there. Cleanse or move that area. Sensing how the whole front and back of your body can be used to do this easy circle. Using the arches of the hands. And then leave that. Rest there. And now move the little finger and thumb toward each other. And do a circle with the little finger here. Allowing all the bones in the wrist and the forearm to move. Letting the other fingers be relaxed. And sensing this arch from the right through the hand. And, the thumb and the collarbone and the front of the body, and the little finger, the other finger's the back of the body, and the shoulder blade. And if there was anywhere else in your body that needed cleaning by this magical cloth, move your hands there around in this circle so that it could clean them. And then leave that. Rest there. And notice the tips of the thumbs and the fingers, the ends of the bones. Keep your peripheral vision wide, and your eyes closed, and could you slowly bring your fingertips, lift your arms up, bring your fingertips, the thumbs and the fingertips, the ends of the fingers together above your chest. Slowly, so at the end, are you ever going to touch? And notice when they do touch, do they touch? Are they together? Or is one hand in a different place to the other? Have a couple of goes at that with your eyes closed. Sensing the ends of the fingers and gently moving them together. And the next time that you have your fingertips together, the ends of the fingers together, leave them there in the air toward the ceiling, and you can open your eyes and look at them. Look at the shape that the hands make, the length of the fingers connected together, each side of your body. And, the plane, the line through the midpoint where the fingertips join. And keeping the tips of the fingers together, rotate them. Rotate your arms and your hands You'll have to bend the arms a little bit and explore, how you can move the hands around in a way that you could still be sensitive, to feel what's going on in the tips, in the fingers. Keeping the hands above your chest in front of the eyes, just sort of move the fingers, still connected. You can push one set of fingers with the other set, but you bend one set of fingers by pushing with the other. And sense what you need to do, where you need to soften in the wrist to make this easy, and so that the connection still feels secure. And then keep your fingers joined, but have your elbows on the ground, so you let your arms down on the ground. And your fingertips are joined, and the thumbs are toward your chest, and the other fingers sit above it. And if you just sort of look at that, lift your hands again and notice that shape. The thumbs are below. The thumbs are below, and the fingers are above. And there's a circle that's created between the thumb and the first finger that you can look through. It's the sort of grip you'd have if you were holding onto a roll, a sandwich. And you could pull or push the fingers and the thumb on one side, and extend the ones on the other. So you sort of roll this circle around. So have your elbows back down on the ground and do that. Push the thumbs over to one side and the fingers to the other. So you're sort of rotating that circle, sort of like you're squashing everything down in a roll and mixing it together that you're about to eat. Thumbs go in one direction and the fingers go in the other. Now, in order to maintain this delicate contact between the tips of the fingers, it means you need to soften in the wrists and the forearms and the muscles and the bones in the palms. Do one finger at a time. The thumbs, and then the first finger. And, as you're doing it, let everything else relax. Your shoulders, your face, your eyes. And just, one finger at a time, move them side to side like this, still keeping them connected at the tip. And then rest for a moment. Leave that. Let your arms down. Can you sense the long bones of the fingers through the palm, the metatarsal bones, they're called? So can you feel the fingers extending through the palm to the bones of the wrist? Once again, having your elbows on the ground, join the fingertips together. So your thumbs are together and the fingertips are together. The thumbs are below the fingers. The four fingers little finger to the index finger, they're parallel with with the surface of the front surface of the body, the chest, and the thumbs are underneath. So, sense that arch through the palm. And once again, roll that circle. So you bend the thumbs in one direction and the fingers in the other. You're pushing the fingers with one hand, pushing the right fingers with the left, and they go, the fingers go over to the right side, say, and the thumbs go to the left, and then the fingers go over to the left side, the thumbs go to the right. You're rotating this space within the hand. And think, well, your thumbs are on the bottom, so think of the bottom of the body, the part of of your body on the floor, and the thumbs, and the parts of your body in the air, the front of your body with the fingers. And now could you roll your head side to side as you're moving your fingers in this way, rotating this circle? And notice as you're doing that, which direction is your head, or what is your head moving with? Is it moving with the thumbs or the fingers as it's rolling side to side? Doesn't matter which one it's doing. The thing is to think of the thumb and, well, this instance, the back of the body, and the other fingers, and to think of the front of the body. And if you were moving your head with the fingers, could you now reverse it? Move your head with the thumbs. Or if you're doing the thumbs, now move it with the fingers. So you're sensing the back and the front of your head as well. And of course, the idea is to relax as you're doing this, to soften everything. In the same way that we had that magic cloth that you were manipulating through your fingers. It's a similar move. You can use this movement now to soften through your head and your neck. You could roll your chest side to side. Roll your chest side to side as you do this. Not your head, but your chest now. And go slowly, slowly, so that you could soften everything else. And you're moving your rib cage with your thumbs or your fingers. Whatever you're doing, do the opposite now. And use less effort if it's harder. Less effort. Soften through the hands, the wrists. Nice. Leave that, let your hands down. Rest there. And now lift the hands into that same position. Thumbs below, fingers on top, the fingertips touching. Lift your knees up. Stand your feet on the floor. And now roll your pelvis as you roll the fingers and thumbs in this way. Let everything be soft. Use less effort. You can use this movement to soften, to make yourself aware. Through softening your hands and your wrists, you may feel your hips able to soften and relax. Or your legs. And notice if you're moving your pelvis with your thumbs or your fingers, and whatever you're doing, now do the opposite. Refining the movement, making it easy. You could roll the whole head, the neck, the torso, whichever way you wanted now. But so you can sense from the front and back of the hands here, the thumbs and the fingers, up through the arm to the front and back of the shoulder, the collarbone and the shoulder blade. Feel how the shoulder blades move. And in fact, you can lift your hands into the air again. You could roll right over onto your stomach, holding on to the fingers like this. And then roll onto your back and feel as you turn your hands, the width between the little finger and the thumb. It's the same as the depth between the front and back of the shoulder and the torso. Roll yourself side to side like this. And feel through the length of the fingers to the length of the wrist and the forearms, how each of these bones can soften. And turn. As you turn the hands, you're turning the torso. As you relax through your fingers, now you can relax through your arms and legs. Now you can feel the front and back and sides of your rib cage, your head and your pelvis. Oh, that's so lovely. Leave that now. You can lie on your back and just rest there. Notice how your body lies within your visual field now. Sense the peripheral visual field. Sense of the hands and arms. Maybe just bring the thumb and each of the fingers toward each other and apart, just to feel the quality of that movement now. And open your eyes and do that. And then when you're ready, roll over onto your side and come up to stand. Sense how it feels to stand here now. The width of your hand and wrist and the depth of your shoulder girdle and torso. And just touch the finger, each of the thumb with each of the fingers once, just to feel that sense of the width. And notice something curious. As you begin to walk now, even though we haven't mentioned the feet during this lesson, notice how they feel. And, the sense of your balance now.